Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm going to go ahead and start on the 1st of January 2022. Follow me on my journey to save as much as I can and start my no spend year for 2022. So what I'm going to be doing here is I am going to be using my A7 planner, and what I'm going to do is I created envelopes for this year and I'm going to stick to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put cash in it. And I've already written down some of the categories that I will be using in this A7 Moterm planner. And so I am limiting myself to only using the money that is placed in here every week. I will replace it, and whatever is left over will be transferred over onto my other planner. And that is what I will be doing this year. So I do have the dashboards in place, and that is how I placed my envelopes based on importance and the ones that I will be using on a weekly basis. So for school, I'm going back to school to get my master's. I am trying to save as much as I can to pay for it cash so that I don't have to get out a student loan. And what I loved about this Moterm is any extra cash, if it doesn't fit into a category, I can put that in the middle. So these were the categories that I decided to create. Now, as the year progresses, I will be updating them. So they are all starting at 0, and I am giving myself a weekly budget, and I am going to stick to that weekly budget as much as I can. So I'm actually counting all of my 20s right now. Now I have finished counting it, and what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be adding the $600 on the calculator just to keep track of how much cash I actually have. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to count the 10s and add the 60 to the 600. So right now I'm at 660. Now I'm going to go ahead and count the 5. So I have 5, 10, 15, so plus 15, which leaves me at 675. And now I'm going to go ahead and count all the ones. So I'm going to add the 24, and those last 4 were a little bit they were brand new, so they kind of stuck together. Just wanted to make sure. So I am at 699. Now I have this coin jar that I purchased. Now everything was purchased in 2021 because I am doing a no spend 2022. So I'm going to be inserting the change into this coin jar. Now at first, it was kind of rough putting them in, so you do have to apply some pressure, and it is going to count all of it for me. Now I am going to include the change in my overall savings. However, I will not be removing any of the change in here. I'm going to see how much I can fill this jar up within the year, and then once I have done that, I will either take it to the bank or Coinstar. For change, I am at $3.92, so I'm going to add that to my total, so I am at $702.92. Now I'm going to go ahead and include that in my iPad. I'm going to try to keep track of everything both on the iPad and paper, just to see which one I like better. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm deducting each category from the total that I have, so that I'll know how much I have left over to invest into different categories that are not necessarily a necessity, but more of a help towards getting towards my savings goals. So after I've taken everything out for my weekly categories, I am left with $492.92. So this is what I will be using in my other cash envelopes, as well as my sinking funds. So I'm going to start off with my groceries. I am limiting myself to $40 a week. Now I can't buy anything once I have gone past those $40. Now this is including me making coffee, iced coffee. So I like to drink coffee, and I found that I was spending too much at Starbucks and Dunkin'. So I am no longer going there, and I will instead be making it at home. So that is part of the groceries category. So what I decided to do for gas is I typically spend $60 a week on gas. I work about half an hour from my home, and so while I have the $60 cash, what I will be doing is paying for it with my debit card, and then once I have placed those $60 in for gas, I will then replace those $60 and putting them back into my bank account, and this way it ensures that I am not just filling up my tank and roaming the city when I don't need to. So I am putting $10 on a weekly basis for dog food. I only have to buy a bag of dog food once a month, and that is what will get me to the $40 per month. For personal, I'm only putting in $10, and that's just for anything that may be unexpected, like a gift for somebody. And so that is why I'm putting in $10. Now this one won't necessarily be filled in on a weekly basis, but the medical one will. My school district is moving from a regular health insurance plan to a health savings account, so I am limited to how much I can place in that, but I'm also putting that on the side as I have to meet my deductible up front, and that is $3,000. So I am putting in as much as I can to meet those $3,000 before my HSA will kick in. Now for beauty, that is just going to be filled in to have money in there in case I need to go get a haircut. Now it's not a necessity right now, but I do want to keep, should it be needed, I want to have it available. Now with the money that I have left over, I am going to start the 2052-week savings envelopes that I created myself. They're also in my Etsy shop. I'm going to try to do the 2,000 and the 5,000 and have 7,000 saved by the end of the year. So I'm going to start off with the 2,000 by placing $20 in, and then I have these dots that I will be using to cover the amount that I have placed in, so that way I know that I have already used that one, and then I would have to go into another one. So for the 5,052-week savings, it starts off with 140, but I don't have to do these in that order, so I decided instead to place $60 into the cash envelope, which is what I'm doing here, 20/40/60. So I'm going to go ahead and put the $60 in, and then I'm also going to place a dot on the 60 so that I know that I have now filled in the $60 and I am covered for that first week. Now I've also decided to do the $1,000 savings challenge. You save $1,000 in 30 days. Now it doesn't have to be within like a month. It can be any day that you pick. So I am going to see how many months it takes me to save up the $1,000 for this savings challenge. I've already placed the $15 for day one, so that's why I'm putting the sticker on here. So I'm going to go ahead and skip some of these other cash envelopes, and instead what I'm going to do is I am going to start the $1 and $5 savings challenge. So I did buy this pink container. Everything is linked in the description box, and I created the labels $1 and $5. So I'm not actually going to keep up to date with filling them in. It's just as I have dollar bills and fives that are extras, I will be placing them in the box, and then at the end of the year I'm going to see how many ones and fives I have saved. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to count the money that I have left over to see how much I have, and I should have $403 left over, which I will then be placing into different cash envelopes, as well as the sinking funds. So I am starting with January 1st saving for Christmas. So I have set a budget of $1,200 for Christmas. So I am writing the date, January 1st. and then I'm just going to write for the description deposit, and I am going to be placing $20 into this envelope, so it's going to leave me with an ending balance of $20. Now for emergency, I decided to make it $1,000, and again, I'm writing January 1st deposit, and then I'm going to write down the amount that I'm placing into the emergency funds, which is $20. So that leaves me with an ending balance of $20 as well. Now what I'm also doing is I'm subtracting what I am depositing into the cash envelopes from the total that I have, so that I know how much I have left over, and that will determine whether I go back into a different envelope and add more money. So for the house cash envelope, the budget will be $8,000, and I will be depositing $30, so that it's going to leave me with a starting balance and ending balance of $30. So it's always important to save for taxes, because you never know when you're going to have to pay. Now I do have my district take out a sufficient amount, but I always want to be prepared. So I am setting aside $20, and this is going to go for the 2022 taxes that I will do next year, not this year. And so that is what I am putting on there now. For the unexpected cash envelope, I'm going to deposit $5, and it's always important to have money set aside for anything that's unexpected. I know for 2021, I had multiple unexpected items that kept deducting from my sinking funds. So I did have to replace my tires and a few other things that cost me a few $1,000s when it was all said and done. So I did have to take out from what I had saved, and so that is why this year I am stashing as much as I can. Now for savings, I have 221, and I will be adding another 20, so it's going to leave me at 241 starting the 2022 year. Now I will be skipping some of these other cash envelopes because I do have some of these categories in my A7. Now I am going to be depositing some money into business, just because sometimes I do have to buy items for business. At this point in time, I don't need an update, but I do want to have that available. So I am going to be depositing $21, so it's going to leave me with the starting and ending balance of $21, and that is used for my Etsy shop. And that is going to be it for this cash binder. I will be moving into a different cash binder, so I do have different binders for different categories. So I did just recount the money to make sure that I have the correct amount on the calculator, and then that is what I will then go back in and add to the savings challenge. So I did decide to add an additional $80 into the $5,000 savings challenge, which I can complete before the 52 weeks. So I did decide to use the rest of the money in the new envelopes that I created. And at the end, once these envelopes have been filled, it should also have $5,050 saved. Now these envelopes can be filled within the 52 weeks, or they can be filled in before. It just depends on how much money I have available and how quickly I can fill them in.